everyone. Welcome back to Week Ahead Astrology Breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy. And this week, I feel like I haven't had one of these weeks in a while when I've been mapping out and forecasting. There are three specific transits that I want to note. And then we're just going to be tracking the moon after that. So it'll be a different flow because those three transits are going to be affecting everyone in different ways. But first, I have been holding a lot of space for clients ever since that Aries new moon. And there's two major themes that have been coming up for a lot of people. One is that many feel like there's something about to come, something massive. Words like explosion or burst or massive or breakthrough keep coming through again and again. And those are all very Aries Martian words. But of course, a lot of things have been shifting. A lot of people have been really doing the work for the first 3 months of this year, plus their entire life. So if you feel like that momentum is coming, you're definitely not alone. A lot of things shifted, right? Saturn moving into Pisces, Pluto moving into Aquarius. So it's natural that there's going to be new ideas, new revelations across the collective. But secondly, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago about the last decan of Pisces season and the first decan of Aries season are ruled by Mars. So there can be an element of death and rebirth, or like that Phoenix rising. So some people are also saying, hey, like I know it's an energetic new year. I know it's Aries season. We just had the Aries new moon, but I'm still feeling kind of tired, kind of lethargic. Is it okay for me to keep resting? Or is it okay if I like hermit for a bit longer before I move on? And the answer is also yes. Listen to your body. Even if we just compare it to another kind of news cycle, January 1st, a lot of people are vacationing in the first 2 weeks of January. They want to reset, they want to recharge, they go away. So if you still feel like you need extra time to rest, to regain strength, listen to your body, your own cycle. There's no need to compare yourself to what's going on. But if you feel motivated and excited and like things are coming, that's great. If you need extra time while things are about to come through in a little bit, also great. Like I'm in the middle of a huge transition. There's kind of like this echoey sound. I'm not sure if you can hear it. I'm like moving, packing. There's a lot of shifts happening, and we're also on the precipice of eclipse season. In a few weeks, eclipses are going to start. So that also is likely what people are tapping into already, of this massive change. So I just wanted to share that in case you're also feeling that, because a lot of times when we know that everyone is moving through it, it helps to calm any queries or anxious energy we might be feeling. So we're starting off on Monday, March 27th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the three transits I wanted to talk about that are going to be in effect all week within a very tight orb. The first being Mars in Cancer, making a trine to Saturn in Pisces. For me, this is like put the work and the energy where your heart lies. Like put your heart into it. If you don't love it, it's likely to be a waste of time. And this can be something that I've talked about before in previous contents. Like, are you doing things out of obligation? Are you doing things for people that you've loved in the past, but that isn't reciprocated anymore? Like, thankfully, this is a trine, but Mars is in its fall in Cancer. So we have to be careful of getting upset or angry or putting in a lot of work towards people that are not going to reciprocate it. So there's two ways, in my opinion, that you can work with this Mars in Cancer trine Saturn. One is putting forth the energy and the work to things that excite you, things that you love, things that you're passionate about, finding time and placing boundaries to do that so you can be in a state of flow, in a state of ease. The second thing is, if you're going to do something for a loved one or for your job, and it might not be your favorite thing to do, try and find the gratitude, try and find the love, try and find the selflessness in that act. So you're not expecting a reward. Sometimes water energy, and especially like Cancer, can be emotionally manipulative as a shadow aspect in terms of knowing the right things to say or do, or acts of kindness or love to get the end result, where it seems kind and benevolent, but there's an ulterior motive. So if we're doing something with the back notion of, oh, there's going to be a nice payoff because this is what I know they want, that's not the vibe here. Do it out of the kindness of your heart. And if you don't want to do it, then don't. Put a boundary up and do the thing that you actually want to do. And that can be going to your boss and say, hey, can we reevaluate my position or the roles that I do? Hey, is there some way that I can have time off so I can take time to rest, or leave work early so I can pick up my child? Like, doing things that make everyone win is going to be great, because this Mars trine Saturn is going to be in effect all week. That's one transit. Transit number two is this Venus conjunct Uranus. And I'm excited about this because Uranus is like unexpected change and surprise. And Venus is what we value. It can be love, beauty, money, all the things that are quite nice. And Venus in Taurus, one of her favorite signs to be in. And it's usually things that are stable and secure. So for me, this is great potential to up level, to experience things that maybe are going to push us outside of our comfort zone to get a way better end result. And maybe we wouldn't have done it on our own. I remember during 2020, the spring of the pandemic, when I experienced this Venus conjunct Uranus, one of my acting friends at the time posted on Instagram. They were saying, hey, I'm going to go here for the summer. I need a reliable sublet. I'm like, I needed more space in my apartment. Went, saw it the next day, met her landlord the day after, signed the documents. And then literally a month later, or like 3 weeks later, after I told my landlord was getting ready to move, that friend said, hey, I'm no longer leaving. Sorry. So I had to find a new space, which landed me here in Toronto, where I've been ever since. And this has been such an amazing condo with an incredible view. So it was very Uranian in terms of like, this happened, it didn't work out, but then something else happened very quickly. So it all worked out beautifully. I saved so much money on this condo, given it was in the heart of the pandemic. I loved this condo. It's a beautiful condo in a beautiful area of Toronto. So I think sometimes people get so obsessed with Venus in regards to love and money that they forget about beauty or worth or value, right? Or even just amicability of things working out and having a sweet or pleasant result. Like for me in this condo, it was so easy. Like all the staff were amazing. The moving process was amazing. And that's huge in terms of a stress relief. If anyone's moved, especially if you moved during the pandemic, you knew that there was so much anxiety in the air about hiring certain people and getting support in that realm. So I share that story because I want to give a different outlook to one Venus transits, but how a Venus Uranus transit can be like, you listen to that intuition and maybe it didn't give you the answer that you wanted, but it led to something amazing. And this Venus Uranus conjunction is happening all week. So one, looking at the house in your chart that's ruled by Taurus is likely going to show you where that quick, rapid movement around love, beauty, money, worth, value can occur. And then secondly, if you have strong fixed energy in your chart around 15 degrees, it's likely going to affect you that much more. And then check the houses in which those fixed placements are in. Now, the third transit that I want to speak on is this Mercury-Jupiter conjunction. It's the most strongest from Monday to Thursday, but even still, it's within a wide enough orb for Mercury to be effective. So this can be, I think, what people are also feeling in terms of correspondence, commerce, new communication. I mean, this can, again, all of these can work in tandem, right? Like they can all be helping you support the same goal, or they can be happening in different parts of your life. But Mercury and Jupiter, that can be huge money, huge contracts, new opportunity, new thoughts, new beliefs happening really quickly. Like these are happening in the sign of Aries with the sun still in Aries as well. So this, I'm assuming, is either going to be negotiations, a new idea, new communication, new content on social media, like the way you type, or like there might be a day where you just sit down this week and you just write a whole bunch of posts, emails, blogs, sign a whole bunch of clients, or like you have really good conversations at work or with family, you're able to have close heart to hearts. Like this is time where you're meant to expand, where your words have a lot of power. So knowing that our words and our thoughts are amplified this week, where we need to place time and structure to do what we love so that Venus and Uranus can create those rapid changes. Like, so funny to me when people on social media are like, oh, this like February 2nd portal or March 3rd, like this and that. And like astrologically speaking, those days sometimes aren't ideal. However, on weeks like this is where every single day can be very potent because the planets are all in such strong aspect with another to create rapid change. So that's why I want to spend extra time at the beginning of this breakdown to show you all this, to further amplify. None of the planets are retrograde. The sun is exalted in Aries. The Venus is in the home sign in Taurus. Like there's just so many amazing planets and they're all communicating with fun results. So use this to your advantage. All right. So now starting on Monday, we have the moon in Gemini making that applied square to Neptune. This is not the time to be mindlessly scrolling on social media like a zombie. If you want to put your heart and to something that's going to benefit you, you're not just going to be scrolling. You're going to know what to do. be cautious with your words, be cautious of what you see and hear on social media and life. This is a really great day to be very productive because the moon is making sextiles to Mercury and Jupiter. So again, this can be a very strong day for productivity. But if you need time, like I would do, if you want to have time to scroll or just like to decompress, make sure you're setting a boundary of like, great, I'm going to work for 50 minutes, have 10 minutes off, or work 20 minutes, have 10 minutes off, so that you can be productive while giving yourself a reward, but making sure that if there's something that's causing you to be distracted, you can identify it at the start of the week so that it doesn't have a lingering effect on how you feel. Because this Mars Saturn can be like, we can be spending a lot of time, like wasting a lot of time if we're upset. So Monday is going to be a good opportunity to identify what is detracting you from where you want to be. And this is also like Moon in Gemini. We want to make sure our mind is clear. So spending a little bit of extra time getting grounded, setting intentions for the day or for the week is going to significantly benefit you. Now, Tuesday is great because now the moon is in her home sign of Cancer. Moon conjunct Mars. This can kind of go either way. I think if you did the grounding work on Monday, this is going to add to productivity now with the moon making a trine to Saturn of feeling emotionally supported, regulated. Like for me, after I go to the gym, I feel great. I feel focused. I know what I need to do throughout the day. It just really helps ground me. For some, it's meditating and journaling first thing in the morning. Others, it's making sure they have really nutritious meals. It could be walks in nature. It could be a bath. It could be whatever you want, but doing things that are going to help you feel regulated and grounded is really going to support you. We also have the moon making that square to the sun in Aries. And I mean, the moon's in her home sign. The sun is in its home, like in its home sign of Aries. So this can kind of be one of two ways. If you're not emotionally grounded, you might be really upset and irritated. It could be a head versus heart type energy. However, if you are in a place where everything is centered and focused, it could mean that you're able to do things where the masculine and the feminine have an opportunity to be aligned. And the one that maybe is more strong in your life may push on the other. It is a square, but this is kind of like the good cop, bad cop. And we won't say which sign is the good cop and which sign is the bad cop. We all see those scenes in TVs and movies where it's like having both of those energies available and knowing which one to lean on will significantly benefit you in whichever area you need to implement. Is like, cool, where do I need to be a bit more assertive? The Aries. Where do I need to be more compassionate and nurturing? The Cancer. And seeing in the throughout the day where you can lean on each energy to benefit you. I just would never back down from your boundaries. I think this might be a great opportunity for you to speak up for yourself with the moon and Mars conjunct in Cancer, so that we're setting new boundaries to be seen and to be heard. Rewind that if you need. That was a really good way to summarize Tuesday. Oh, just kidding. Let's go back. And come on. Also, I'm not sure if any of you have been experiencing this. I've had like random tech things happen this past week. Let me know if any of you are feeling that. It's just like random little things where it's like, oh, I don't know what the transit is to explain that, but I'm curious to hear if any of you have been going through that. Wednesday, we now have the moon making that trine to Neptune. So this is great in terms of dreams, spirituality, connection, creativity, emotions, all these different things. And the moon is making a square to Jupiter. And we also see at this time now we have Venus within a 1-degree orb of Neptune. We have Mercury coming off of that conjunction to Jupiter. So there might just be like dreams coming true, correspondence, synchronicities, kismet. Like Wednesday is a very, very potent day. And we also have the moon here making sextiles to Uranus as well. So it's like the moon is just aspecting so many things. And a lot of the aspects that we talked about are going exact Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's a very energetically charged day. If you were able to get grounded on Monday and be focused on Tuesday, something big is going to happen on Wednesday, even if it's just like seeing synchronicities throughout the day that remind you on the right path. But I do think something of significance will come through on Wednesday. That could also be like a dream coming true or a manifestation. So get excited. It's a really strong day. Thursday, we're finishing off with the moon in Cancer. And this will be interesting as well for you to all gauge, because this is a time where we've had the moon in Cancer not opposing Pluto and Capricorn since 2008. So just see how you feel. I mean, there is still Mars there, but it's going to be a different feeling. And Thursday is a particular day just because the moon will be moving into Leo midway through. But at this point too, we still see this exact trine between moon and Neptune. So Wednesday night could be a really potent day for dreams. You could mark that down. We also have the moon square Mercury on Thursday. So this could also be a time where something big comes through and there might be the residual fear of what if I can't maintain this? What if it goes away? What if I blank? Whatever that fear is, sometimes when we get something that we want, it's really big and they're like, okay, and now how do we integrate this elevated energy, this up level into our life? What do we do with this information? That will be the emotional regulation with this Mercury in Aries. Okay. Now, Friday, moon in Leo. And this is also nice too, because now we have the moon in Leo not making an opposition to Saturn in Aquarius. Yes, there's the opposition to Pluto. So this can just be finding your own inner power. How can you rise up and be seen and be heard while also understanding the responsibility or the ethics that are involved in that decision? Because sometimes too, that's a thing that you are making a decision or a choice, but we want to make sure it's still within our boundaries and we're not just doing things out of ego or because there's a flashy offer. That's something to note. I mean, that can be in love, that can be in family, that can be in work, that can be whatever it is. But this would just be something is like, are you acting in integrity? Are you acting within your boundaries? And if not, what needs to shift so that we can continue along this way? And we'll see now that Venus is separating from Uranus, but still a very close conjunction. So if these things are coming through, sometimes I believe this, I know sometimes other people don't, but I do think that the universe tests us to ensure that we have done the work sufficiently so that we don't self-sabotage ourselves and others at the higher level. So this like Thursday, Friday might be an opportunity where you receive like 80% of what you want and you have to decide, it's like, this one thing I really do want, am I willing to bend, or do I want to release this knowing I'm that much closer to getting everything that I've wanted? And I don't want you to overcomplicate that, but I think we've all been in a situation where there's a good offer, but it's not, the things that we need aren't present. So it's like, great, it's close, but I'm going to hold out for the whole kahuna. Like, it's not like we're calling in, let's say 50 grand and you get 48. That's an amazing manifestation. Take it. I'm talking about, let's say, if you are going for certain things that you feel that your heart needs to be supported, and there's ways to negotiate, there's ways for you to stand in your power to get everything that you need to move forward in your journey. All right. Now, Saturday, the moon is still in Leo, and now it's meeting up with Jupiter. So this is really strong. And I mean, I don't think I mentioned that on Friday, the sun making that trine to Aries. So I mean, that kind of goes in the power dynamic. We just want to make sure that this opposition to Pluto is not tempting us to just go with instant gratification, that we're still making a sound choice to be supportive. Because when we move on to Saturday, we have the moon making a trine to Jupiter, which is phenomenal. Fertility, abundance, blessings. But then the moon is also making a square to Uranus and Venus. So this can manifest in a couple of different ways. Like this moon Jupiter is great in terms of growth or expansion. I think sometimes with moon square Venus, it can be, okay, I want this, but is it going to affect my relationships? Is it going to affect how people see me? Is it going to affect my status? How can I reacclimate myself to this new energy? And that can sometimes mean readjusting your relationships with certain people. That can mean that you're letting go of certain people. That can mean that certain people are no longer aligned. And that can be sometimes in business where you need to leave a certain job to expand upon yourself. And that might be challenging because people love you or you have loved that job, but in order to move forward, you have to let that energy go. So that I think is where the moon Venus can come in, especially since the moon and Venus are in fixed signs. It might just be something where you have to shift, and it might feel uncomfortable for one or both parties, but it's for your best good. It's for you. It's like you're going to feel significantly better, but someone else might not. But you can't. And again, this goes back to the Mars Saturn trine. It's like you have to do what you love where your heart is, and also have the belief that everyone who loves you wants to see you succeed. It's kind of like I always hear this with friends when they move. The other person's like, oh, I'm going to miss you so much. Like they kind of make it about them instead of being excited for the friend that's moving. And that can kind of be a similar situation where it's like people are like, no, stay, stay, stay. Like I want you to be here and not leave, but you have to do what's best for you. So sit with that. And that just might mean shifting your beliefs and mindsets, choosing yourself over putting others first. Like they can manifest in a couple different ways, but generally speaking, it should be an obvious choice come Saturday on what needs to be released or shifted to put yourself first or in the spotlight moving forward. And then Sunday, moon in Virgo. Like, I love a good Virgo moon. It's like, at least for me personally, whenever we have that in transit, I just want to clean. It's like, I'm in it to win it. One final scrub. You're in a great state. So that can be a very strong manifestation. I mean, it's a wide orb, but the moon is still now making a trine base aspect to Uranus and Venus. So this can be really good in just getting certain things organized and regimented to enjoy the new Venusian blessing that came into your life. So Sunday, goal mapping, strategizing, getting all those kind of little errands done to set yourself up properly for the week. And I mean, we also have the moon opposing Saturn now in Pisces. So this is a good opportunity for feeling what a moon in Virgo transit is going to feel with Saturn now in a mutable sign. Because remember, Saturn was in Aquarius for the past few years. So whenever we had a Leo moon, it had a different effect. Now that it's opposing Saturn, you might not want to do anything. Like that Virgo moon might normally be more conducive to cleaning and structuring and getting everything ready for the week ahead. Maybe making an opposition to Saturn and Pisces, you're like, all I want to do is just sit on this couch and contemplate life. Like, that'll just be a fun thing for everyone to experiment with and see what comes up for you. I mean, we also have the moon making a sextile tomorrow, so I think it's going to be productive. The one thing I will say with the moon opposing Saturn is that sometimes it could be like, I need to get everything done. I need to go to the gym. I need to start my fridge. I need to get the kids' schedules ready. I need to get my work ahead. Like, it might be the opposite, where something that's usually more constructive is now overbearing, where you feel like no matter what you do, you're not prepared enough. And for those that maybe have like anxiety or things like that, it's just like work. So still give yourself a chance to be productive if you feel called to on Sunday, but also schedule rest where you allow yourself just to be and not having to work or produce. All right. Now, the astrology question of the week we have from S Grant 4809. I think I know who this is, so if it is you, hello. And the question is, what is the difference between the sun sign and the rising sign? So I've gotten this question a lot. Every astrologer kind of has their own different take, but I think this was Demetra George's definition that kind of adopted. But the rising sign is the lens in which you first see the world and how the world first sees you. So that's why for me, when astrology, people are like, oh, I don't feel like my sun sign, or people always get my sun sign wrong, like astrology isn't real. They might be picking up on your rising sign. And the rising sign can have a big part in your physical appearance, how you present yourself, how you dress. And with the sun, I feel like that's your spirit, where you shine. So where the sun is in your chart may be where people actually see you, or where you want to be seen. So I kind of gave an example to showcase this. So let's say you are like a case study of a Sag Rising with the sun in Aries and the moon in Scorpio. So if this person is a Sag Rising, that means the sun will be in the 5th whole sign house. And that also means that the moon is in the 12th house. So if we're using this analogy, it is a night chart, which means that the moon is a greater luminary. So if we're talking about Sagittarius rising, that's kind of like this big, bold flavor, larger than life, kind of a thing of like Zeus, who's this like gregarious, kind of like Santa. Less amazing, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. If we're talking about physical descriptions of a Sag rising, it can manifest a couple different ways. I usually think it's like a big personality. It can be a big body type, or it can just be someone, if we're talking about Sagittarius, sometimes it can have like a long horse face. It can usually have like long legs, given that Sag rules that part of the body. So that can be one way to identify that. Now, the sun in Aries in the 5th house. So it's kind of thinking about this, I'm like, what could that archetype be? The 5th house represents pleasure, creativity, children, games. So let's say this individual is a professional poker player. Games being in the 5th, they're a Sag rising. Sag can be like the American dream, overnight success. And their moon is in Scorpio in this case study. So they might be concealed or wearing like sunglasses with a whole bunch of bling to set the archetype of a Sag rising. But the sun in Aries is where that competitiveness comes in. So they're a competitive professional poker player. So yeah, they have this larger than life. They're generous, they're gregarious. That's a Sag rising. But the sun in Aries will manifest more succinctly with the competitiveness, wanting to win, wanting to be the best, maybe in their profession, in that fifth house, or maybe that Aries energy really manifests with their children, where they're just like more playful and enthusiastic, and they really like playing with their kids and playing sports and being that parent that drives their kids everywhere. And then the moon in Scorpio would just be, in this analogy of my head, like a good poker player keeping their cards close to their chest, or like being very emotionally attuned. So then you have this energy where, yes, the rising is extremely important. You're going to see things from a Sag rising perspective, like there's more than enough for everyone. Let's go here. We can do this. Sometimes Sagittarius energy can be like overly generous, where they spend a lot of money. It's kind of like going to Vegas and spending all the money and then coming back and being like, okay. And then the Aries can be like, great, there's that go-getterness, but it's in that one area of the chart. And I gave this example to show that the sun is exalted in Aries, but this is going to be a night chart. So then we want to look at the moon in Scorpio to see more of that temperament. So let me know if that resonates. To recap, the rising sign can often be the first impression that you give others and how they see you, but also like how you see the world is through that landscape. And of course, there are people that have their sun in the same zodiac sign as a rising. So then in that regard, you would see things very succinctly. But for those who don't, look to see which house your sun is in, and that's likely to showcase where that energy comes through the most, or where you want to shine, where you do shine, where the energy is more pure. I also like, if we're going to add the moon into this, that's like your emotional well-being, or where you want to be nurtured, or where you nurture others, or it's like a place where your body can feel safe to grow and expand. So adding that in as well, you want to look to the house where the moon is to see where that element can be incorporated in terms of feminine energy, relationship with mother, relationship with body, and how you feel. Okay. Beautiful. So that's all I got for this week. Remember those 3 activated transit: Mars, trine Saturn, Mercury conjunct Jupiter, Venus conjunct Uranus. I expect great success stories. I expect synchronicities to come in. I expect big news regardless. So if you feel called to share in the comments, let me know. I would love to hear what comes up for you, whether it's during the week or a retrospective if you come back after. I will let you know what comes through on my end next week. And I'm wishing you all well. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.